Yes, hi. Today we're gonna have a 10 minutes introduction for someone that never created or used virtual reality or augmented reality, and teach you how you can create lessons in 10-15 minutes yourself. So this is very hands-on, very practical, and we address users that perhaps at tops have developed a PowerPoint, so you don't have to have any programming skills, you don't need to know anything fancy. It's quite simple, and you'll see myself doing it. In fact, over the last 2 months I developed more than 1,200 different augmented virtual reality applications and lessons, and it literally takes me not more than 10 minutes to do so. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, let's start with the good news. You can start for free. No cost. Just go to eonreality.com is our website, and you can click here or you can click here. All you have to do is to put in your first name, your last name, your email, confirm a password, and accept our terms and condition, and then you sign up. In this case, I have already an account, so I have already signed. I can show you just quickly how it works. Start from the beginning. So now I have a choice to go to Creator, Virtual Trainer, AVR Assist. I also have a choice to go to something called the Vault. We're not going to talk about that, but just briefly, the Vault is an ability for you to, at any time, if you don't want to create anything, you can just go here and find your right application, whether it's education, vocational training, or what have you, and then select an application and start looking at it first, what it contains, and then decide to purchase it. So these things here are lessons that do cost money, but what I'm going to show you today, the creation process, doesn't cost money. You can do 5 lessons at no cost, and you can enjoy also for free many of the lessons that already are there. Okay, so let's get going. The first thing you're going to see is a library. So this is a library that comes along with the free version, and you can learn about different type of things, from biology to chemistry to many different topics. You can also select by categories here, so animal life or automotive design or biology, etc. Then you can create stuff, and as you create stuff, it ends up on your workspace. So this is my workspace. Those are the 1,200 lessons that I was referring to that I created. So I learned everything from nuclear power plants to how Egyptian chariots work in warfare, to things like why Skylab burn up in the Earth's atmosphere. I'm very interested in things. I learned a lot about medical devices, for example, ultrasound systems, how they work. And I learned actually a lot by creating those lessons. Treatment of urinary infections, and etc. But today we're going to go into the aspect of creating a lesson. So let's click on create, and you can immediately see that you can do a 3D lesson or you can do a 360 lesson. So if you don't know what that is, 360 lesson is an environment-based interaction, something you take with the 360 camera, and a 3D lesson is based on object-based interaction, but could be also environment. So today, let's see, we'll do a 3D lesson. It's actually a little bit more, the 360 is even simpler than what you're gonna see, so I pick 3D. Now you have an option. You can import your own models, and I would say 99% of people we work with that are not familiar with this, are not familiar with 3D formats, so don't have to worry about that. Think about it just simply as different JPEGs, so formats that you have in 3D. There's many more formats. So let's assume you don't know anything about importing assets. So all you want to do is to browse existing assets. So then you go back to browse, and you can have we have a lot of free assets, and there are also assets you can purchase. So here you can see some of the 3D assets. Think about this as building blocks, models, that you then can inject interaction in and create a full application. But you need those building blocks. Now, if there's something there that I can find about free assets, there's something, so these assets you can use directly with no cost, create your lesson, up to 5 lessons, and try this out. If you want to do more lessons, then you have to subscribe, but the subscription for students starts as little as $12, and if you are a commercial entity, it's $42. But for now, we assume that we're using the free version. You can also, if you want to go more adventurous, let's say I want to find a nuclear power plant. Let's see something more complex. Nuclear power plant. Okay. So there, we are searching now both purchased by. So we have, for example, here you can buy your Fukushima nuclear reactor, right? So it's $27, and you have this specific, not just a generic one. And as you can see, we have more than access to 1 million 3D assets that you can get. So you can see that it's pretty advanced. The benefit here is obviously if you want to create a nuclear power plant yourself, it's pretty complex and will take you probably, even if you can model, which 99% of our customers we wouldn't know how to do it in the first place, but if you could, it will take you weeks to do a proper model. So in this case, I already selected my model. I prepared a little bit just to do it, and then all you have to do is to go back, go to my workspace, and I'm searching for nuclear. I created a quick lesson, so I picked, actually this one was free. So I created the lesson I call Nuclear Power Plant Accident. And I compared what happened in Fukushima with 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl. So what you do is you click here. This is an existing lesson, so I can edit the lesson. So I can click on edit or play. But in this case, I click on edit, and here's my lesson. And what we're going to do first is assume that you've never done and you're not familiar with the platform. So I'm going to walk you through the first time user experience. So the first thing when you open this, let's say you downloaded the nuclear power plant and you don't know what to do. So you can just follow the simple steps. So first step, let's create. It's the tutorial. So to the left here, you have some of the tools that you can interact with. So one thing you can do is the 3D exploration tool on the left side allows you to manipulate and isolate certain components, right? X-ray vision, so this is the ability to see through the model, in this case, nuclear power plant. Break it apart allows you to take the different parts and separate them in components and subcomponents, and I can click on a subcomponent and I can also take that apart if I want. So you can see a hierarchical tree here. Let's go back. And then, of course, you need annotations. So the models come already with annotations. You can add more details. And you can also drill down. So for example, if I'm interested in the steam generator assembly, I can click on that specifically, and you can see that it contains a lot of different parts. So I can go all the way down to the reactor vessel. And I have named, in this case, the model comes with the naming already. The next thing is make it move. This is animation. So if the model has an animation, it will be activated by clicking on this button. And the last button here we call pick and choose. This is actually quite nifty because you can pick a part here. Let's say I want to pick the reactor. Let's drill on the reactor, steam generator assembly, sorry. the actors in there, and then I can pick it apart. So this is very useful if I want to do a step-by-step procedure, for example. Now we have the ability to click, drag, sweep, rotate, right click and drag to pinch, zoom in, zoom out. So that's an explanation also how you maneuver around the environment. And then we have a side menu. So this is the menu that you use to provide contextual information, to create interactivity to your lessons, and this is what normally people are programming. In this case, don't worry, there's no programming whatsoever, and we made it very simple for you. And you notice here there's first an intro. So each application or lesson includes an intro element that you can use to present basics of your subject. So all you have to do is to click it to activate it. The first thing you have here is a voice, and then you have a YouTube video, so you can bring, for example, a YouTube video about nuclear power, and you paste it, enter your YouTube here, and you say OK, and that basically incorporates that video as a part of your application. I haven't gone through, but there is also this one here, and that's voice introduction. And if you don't want to use your own voice, you can just copy and paste text, and this, if you click on this, that text can then be automatically converted to voice, so text to speech. And we cover more than 28 languages, so we can do this in whatever, most of the common languages, and we are adding languages continuously. Then on to the next step. So you can click or tap on the plus button to add new information, interactive elements to the lesson in a certain flow, right? You have a certain approach what you want to do. And you can do it in form of a memo or an annotation. So let's say I want to talk about a specific component, in this case the reactor vessel or something like that, and I want to link to it written, audio, video information to get more details. But you can also do things like build, locate, identify, or generate quizzes. So those are some of the interaction modalities that we'll talk a little bit more about. So now let's stay to the memo. So you can tap to add a memo. So you can just by click on, for example, on Chimney, you can have the little plus button you see there. That is a memo. So by simply tapping or clicking on the plus symbol of one of the annotation, you can add a memo to the side panel that you can then attach audio, video, and other type of information. Now, when you add content to memos, whether it's something written information that will be converted to speech, I mentioned that we have text to speech, or you can also add an audio file, or as I said earlier, YouTube video. So this way you create a very rich contextual information that you can share during the lesson. If you don't like your memo, you can, and you're not happy with it, you can obviously delete it. Build, I use the metaphor of a puzzle. So if you want to, for example, I've just recently done this, that I asked the students to put together a vehicle. So they get all the parts and they have to put it together in the right way. So it's giving the users like a puzzle, and where they have to put the 3D model back together, and that's what build does. Very useful to understand how things work, and that's what most of us as kids used to tinker with, whether it's a clock or a piece of equipment. And it's very easy to do this in virtual and augmented reality. So when you want to do, you click on build, you select the name which model or part that you want user to put together. So you may not want the whole, whole nuclear power plant. You want some specific components. And then you double tap on object to locate, and you select it. Yeah. And then you can also give people a little bit of stress. You want to put it under a time limit so they don't have, because we assess how good they know the different topics. So by putting a time limit on the build puzzle to crank up the pressure, make things a bit more interesting for users. And you can just set the timer. It's very easy, pops up there. Now you can also record interaction. This is one of the most useful feature. I use it all the time. So tap the interaction record button here, and then you record both your voice while interacting with the model. So let's say I want to teach you how to replace a rod. I can actually do it using the mouse here. What step 1, step 2, and that becomes recorded. And then I send it, for example, to a student. They look at it, and then part of the exam is to do it themselves and get evaluated if they do it the right, chronological way. So if there's 10 steps, do they do this 10 steps? Do they do them in the right order? And this can be recorded also and becomes a very, let's say, high fidelity assessment versus just a paper-based assessment. So with that, we went through the steps, most common steps. Believe it or not, it's that simple. I mean, there are more features there that I didn't go through, quizzes, for example. But you can see here what I generated in about, I think I spent about 12 to 15 minutes to do this. So here you can see about double tap to identify the object. So this identify. This has to do with information about the steam generator. I haven't added things there. Locate. This is an assembly aspect. So the various things you can do. I can also easily add more things, like for example a quiz, and it also generates the quiz. What is this? So you can, and it generates automatically the quizzes, or I can create quizzes myself. So very easy to do. Once you created the lesson, you can save it. You can close the lesson. Yes. And then you can play the lesson. So now I can play the lesson on the desktop, but in my next video I'll also show how this experience works on the mobile device. You can both create and experience lessons on the mobile device. Okay. And the fun part with mobile device is that you can do augmented reality and virtual reality on that device, like a normal iPhone or Android. But let's for now just play the lesson to see the difference between creating and playing. And now everything that we create is stored in the cloud. You can also download a lesson, so you don't have to, when you're not, let's say, connected with the internet, or for some reason you want to have it on your own computer. So again, there is a similar first-time user experience if you've never done it before, and that can be used, but I will, for interest of time now, not go through all that, but you can see very quickly that you remember the X-ray, taking apart, the annotations, we talked about that, the ability to pick, the dissection. So press and hold an object to move it. It tells you what to do. So if I press on this and I move it, or this one here, you can hear the little sound there helping me to understand what's going on. And then here it's a video. So that's the video that I loaded. And this is from the Institute of describing the Fukushima development or the accident. So that's the video.
Friday, March the 11th, at 2:46 p.m., an exceptionally powerful earthquake.
So that's about that. And then I have, you remember this button here? That's the record button. So I have recorded a procedure here. Yeah, my voice is pretty low, but you can see my hand. So the hand is interacting with this device, and the difference between a video and a virtual reality, augmented reality recording is that I can look behind, so I'm not controlled by the director. I am the director, and I can follow all the steps that, in this case, I've created, right? So that procedure, that standard operation procedure that is instructed here, is something that I can learn by looking at it, and then of course learn by doing. So that's a very useful thing if you have a, let's say, a nuclear power plant or even a helicopter, and you have 12 standard operation procedure. You can record those very easily. Here I have the introduction.
A nuclear and radiation accident is defined by the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, as an event that has led to significant consequences to people.
So that's my introduction. I can also click in the middle here, and I can see the different things. So there is a quiz, there is something about reactor vessel. I have to locate certain things, I have to identify. There's obviously multiple quizzes, and those are the things that I have to go through. First I learn, I can learn myself, so I have exploratory mode where I can turn on all the things here, and I can go through the lesson. And then I have also an assessment mode, for example this quiz, and I can go. So now I have to get ready and answer, what is this? So I have 23 seconds to determine that, and I say okay, that's the steam generators, and that was correct. Okay, so very quick introduction. I hope you learned a little bit. If you are doubtful, there's also a very good description on YouTube with more details, or you can simply contact us for more information. So looking forward for you to create a lot of interesting lessons and share feedback with us, what you like and improvements perhaps that you want to do to the product. We are always keen to hear from you. Thank you, and see you out there. Take care.